If you load up Modern Warfare 2, not that one, take in the nostalgia, go to Spec Ops, enter Act 3, press A, and hit A again, you'll find yourself in Hidden. You might fondly remember playing through this with a friend, or being destroyed by one of the many snipers when you foolishly thought you could take on Veteran for the first time. Maybe you thought, who put this COD 4 on my Modern Warfare 2? Or maybe, if you're a little weird like me, you thought, what's up with those TVs in Hidden? I've been taking some time recently to play through the original Modern Warfare trilogy. All I've got to report is that they're still the same great games, but as I was playing through the Spec Ops mission Hidden, I thought, oh cool, all gillied up. Or was it? So as a side note, I've speedrun the remastered version of All Gillied Up or AGU a fair amount, and in an effort to ignore the crescendo of my terrible life decisions, I thought I'd go through the route that I usually take, but in Modern Warfare 2's Hidden. This route, if you don't know it, is an alternate skip for the convention section, or more accurately, the whole of AGU. Currently, there are a few methods to getting out of bounds in AGU. One involves jumping on a wrecked car hood, jumping to another, and running through a bush. The second is to use a mattress to then jump onto a container, and then onto another container to get out of bounds. And the last is a strafe jump over a central container after using half of the first method. As you can see, the remastered version have specific areas of radiation, and a path that we need to stick to so we don't die and waste 40 minutes of our life on a failed run. After going through the bush, the first thing that I noticed was that the spicy air didn't seem to exist where it had been in AGU. Now, there were also a lot of trees removed, which I'd imagine to be a couple of assets being shifted around for the sake of gameplay and performance. So now we continue through the map behind where we'd spawn where the convoy would be. Here you can go to the intel room from AGU and see the same poster from Call of Duty 2, but also just to mention, when I went up here in the remastered version, I noticed that the poster was different. The remaster also obviously has rifles and stingers, and the original also has G36s and stingers too. As I went through the apartment and I dropped down in front of the play park, I noticed the first big difference to AGU. On the right hand side, there were some open windows. This seems to be a living room and an indoor space that's supposed to represent a flat on the corner of a building, but it was never previously used. I did briefly wonder if this was an attempt at a basic multiplayer map, as the approaching side looks okay, but the choke point seems a little bit pointless for a map. But I don't know, this is the game that made Shipment. It's probably a leftover from an early attempt to make a longer version of the mission, which was probably scrapped for time. There doesn't seem to be anything else really of note in this section, so I move through the choke point and out into the dog area. It is worth noting though that some bushes don't have their collision, but they also don't offer much in the way of exploration, it's just some dead space behind the bush. Then, I go through the Palace of Culture canteen and then the stairwell, which doesn't seem to change really anything either from the original version. If you go upstairs however, we finally arrive at 3 rooms along a balcony wall. Inside each of the 3 rooms is a TV, and all 3 can be turned on and off using X, square, or the interact key. These rooms weren't accessible in AGU or the remastered version, and I would usually take the opinion that this was cut content, but there is in fact a 4th inaccessible TV. Upon exiting the first set of containers that Hidden starts in, and after killing a couple snipers in the field, go towards the right hand side of the field and you'll find a shipping container. Inside is 1 TV behind a table and chairs, though this TV is not able to be interacted with due to the items that are blocking it. So when I was looking at this container, one of the first things that I did was go back to Call of Duty 4 and then go back to the remastered version to see if this container was any different. Lo and behold, when I went to the containers I found that they were closed. But eventually I realised this was because I was using the speedrun method to get to that portion of the level, and I wasn't hitting the triggers and checkpoints that were necessary to actually make the container change state. So when I finally made it through the section after crawling through the field with Macmillan, we see that if I initiate combat at the wrong time before Macmillan wants me to, or if you mess it up and the enemies spot you, the container will open up and 3 enemies will run out, and inside is the table, the chairs, the bottles, the TV with the light on top. I don't think this means that there's any significance to the doors later in the mission. I don't think it has anything to do with each other. If anything, it was just something that the devs that were taking up the remaster knew about, and they just put in the map because it was already in the game. So, there are 4 TVs, one of which is inaccessible within the map and turned off, with the other 3 being out of bounds and interactive. Still not a definite indication of an Easter egg, but the fact this only occurs in the Spec Ops version of the map is something. Of course, at this point, I wanted to see the swathes of people more intelligent than me since 2009 having solved this and given solid explanations, but no, nothing other than a couple early videos. Behold, an amazingly soundtracked time capsule of a video by C. Bennett22, which seems to be the earliest recognition of the TVs that I could find. Now, the comments are unfortunately turned off, though I suspect that they would probably end up being a jumbled mess, with a huge amount of 2009 internet isms. The YouTube channel Rocket Sloth would document these TVs in a video going through unsolved mysteries from the franchise, but they don't really go into much depth beyond what they cover in the video. All well and good, and it's amazing that I can reference nearly 20-year-old videos from when I was a kid, and video capture was something I thought only big YouTubers did, while the rest of us peons pointed our parents' camera at the TV screen. That being said, I'm surprised there's nothing really documenting these TVs properly besides one direct reference in video, some old footage, and some ancient forum discussions. A question that stuck with me throughout making this video though is, would the devs expect players to try and go here? Well, there's plenty of examples of Easter eggs made out of bounds for players. Call of Duty World at War in particular features things such as the fly trap being activated outside of the map, or even methods for all players to get out of bounds that are fairly easy, like in Vendetta, or even the out of bounds Browning in COD 4's Charlie Don't Surf, which, despite a sign, was still able to be done in the remaster. Whilst looking at related forums, I found this comment talking about the devs' intentions with the out of bounds sections of Hidden, to which someone had replied, perhaps they knew that there was a way to access it. This tells me at the very least, if someone else can have a thought about this, then surely I'm not crazy. All the way. I did think a potential way to gauge this would be to see if this out of bounds jump was even known about in 2009. Well, the oldest mention that I found of a new out of bounds method was uploaded on May 30th, 2008 by Cast2111. I also found some more recent videos highlighting augmented versions of these out of bounds methods, and found the car hood jump method was attributed to Madman McClinton in 2008, but I don't have a way to verify this. This means that there were at least two known ways at the time, with people documenting it. That, and the out-of-bounds Easter eggs featured in previous titles, would leave me to believe that this could still be something we just haven't figured out yet. At this point, I set out to try everything that I could think of to mess with these TVs. Around the time I tried blowing up all the TVs at the same time with C4, I then realised I didn't have a way to get back into the mission start area, as after the drop down into the skip trailer, it's not possible to climb back up. Even with the previously mentioned bushes and going to all exits at the end of the map, there is no continuous outside ground to walk back over on. I did find a video by Psycho Swizz showing 3 different elevator spots throughout the map, but to be honest with you, they're more or less useless. They get me on top of buildings that are too far away for me to safely jump back down into the map. This would mean that it either was not intended for the player to go back to the first TV, or, as I'd expect to be more likely, the intention is for one person to stay behind. This would make sense, an Easter egg that had a bit more to it, but considering Spec Ops revolved around the idea of split-screen co-op and multiplayer duo co-op, it wouldn't be a push in my mind that an Easter egg would be made for 2 players in this map specifically. So, I grabbed a definitely real friend, and I had them sit vigilantly over the container TV as I went to activate the other 3. Nothing would happen if I turned on all the TVs. The ridiculous amount of sequences I tried provided nothing. Destroying them seems to do nothing either. All of the TVs have the same model. There's no variation in colours or design, and interestingly, each TV has the same table with the same number of bottles arranged in the same fashion, albeit rotated differently for each room. Though, due to the inclusion of the tables and bottles in the original AGU and the remastered version, I'm more likely to say that they have no relevance other than being part of the setup and to be the reason the first TV can't be accessed. So finally, I thought I may as well check the rest of the game, see if this arrangement of TVs and tables reoccurred. I'd also be checking if any of these could be interacted with. I had no expectation that there would be anything relating to the TVs in Hidden, but I thought that if I could find an instance of it elsewhere that hadn't been mentioned online, then that would probably mean that the ones in Hidden had nothing more to them. When I played through the remastered version of Charlie Don't Surf, the most TV-heavy mission in the franchise, I was surprised to find that these TVs could be turned from the channel showing Al-Assad's speech to the RGB that we're familiar with in Hidden. But I did find one TV in the intel location early in the mission that would just switch off rather than change channel. I didn't know what to make of this, and considering the track record for the remaster to include these details, I went back to the original level to see if the TVs could be interacted with. In Call of Duty 4, the TVs can be switched off from the speech channel, and if they're interacted with again, they'll go to the RGB channel and off and switch between those two from then on. This is most likely an alternative method to getting the Your Show Sucks achievement, in which the player needs to destroy every TV showing the speech throughout the campaign. This interactivity is also available for the TVs that don't show the speech too. I noticed too that the interactive TVs in Hidden and the ones elsewhere in the franchise were different, with Hidden's inclusion of a flashlight on top of the TV, but this was only different for the instances of the container TV in all versions. So what? There's potentially hundreds of TVs throughout the franchise. Well, yeah, but only 4 that anyone is aware of that have the light on top of them. No other part of the franchise stages TVs like this, and when it comes to the out of bounds ranking list for popularity that I definitely didn't just make up in my head, Hidden and Old Gillied Up are probably the most popular, or if anything, just the easiest to do the exploits on. So, to answer my question from earlier, yes, I absolutely believe that devs knew that players would leave the map. Despite the popular out-of-bounds methods that we have footage of from the time, the devs never fixed it, not even in the remastered version. So, my first conclusion of this video is that these rooms and TVs are not cut content. They are specifically placed there to be found, but I still wonder, is there anything more to these TVs? In the end, would I say that there's more to this? Probably not. In terms of solving this question, I realised that the remaster would not be very useful at all, as even if there was an Easter egg in Modern Warfare 2 in Hidden, then I doubt anything that would contribute to the Easter egg would be included in a remaster of COD 4. If there were undiscovered Easter eggs in COD 4, I don't think the team at Raven would even have known about them. I've been using it in this video to find any specific differences between any and all versions compared to Modern Warfare 2, and that's what it's been useful for. It would have been useful if Modern Warfare 2 Remastered had included Spec Ops, but it's the campaign only due to the lack of multiplayer features. Now, when we talk about that remaster, it would be the easiest way to see if this Easter egg was intentional, as much like the roof jump on Charlie Don't Surf, its removal or change, or simply staying the same as either OG Modern Warfare 2 or COD 4, could tell us a lot about the devs' original intentions behind these TVs. Though, since we most likely will never see Spec Ops Remastered, it's likely we'll never know. The TV in the container is probably just placed at the back and is inaccessible to stop the AI that spawned there from getting stuck. Not to mention, its placement just makes sense if you would use a container in that way. In terms of getting out the map, so what? It's part of the glitching culture around these games at the time, and more importantly, the devs would care more about patching the methods in multiplayer than they would with the campaigns. Why patch it and waste time, especially if you're porting the map from the first game over to the second one? And finally, the last 3 TVs. My best guess? A joke, or a reference between the developers. It's strange, it's out of the map, and it doesn't seem like a cut part of the mission, considering how strange it is. Still, as you can probably hear, I just can't bring myself to say that there definitely isn't anything there. The models being unique, the specific placement in one mission that's different from all other versions of the map from the franchise that it's ported from, the fact that you can't go back once you drop down into the Palace of Culture section, it just seems like there's potential here for a co-op Easter egg. And from this franchise? Come on, it's a pretty good setup. If this is an Easter egg, then I've got one guess as to what it might be based on nothing but my schizo research throughout this video. Call of Duty devs in the early days had a habit of leaving Easter eggs and messages behind that went from their names, which most people have seen, like Alexander Roycewood's, to messages for loved ones. Here's where I think we might find an answer. One of the devs could have intended to play the Spec Ops mode with someone they know. they could tell them to stay at the TV in the container while they jump out of the map and run to the other 3 TVs. They can hit a sequence on the out-of-bounds TVs to then display a message on the first one. To prove this, we'd need someone who was on the team to tell us about it. Otherwise, find the person who was responsible for placing these TVs and ask them why. I've never been able to get a response from developers in the past for comments, so I don't think I'll get one now, but that's the last rabbit hole of questions that I haven't gone down. Now, in terms of my other shortcomings in this video, I probably haven't done enough to thoroughly check various methods in co-op, or just normal methods at all. I would encourage anyone who can to go and see what they can do with these TVs. I didn't include everything that I tried in this video, but none of it worked, so I excluded it for the interest of time. So, if there is an Easter egg, I think it may be a message for a loved one from one of the developers. Otherwise, I'm just running around in circles like a crazy person trying to find another reason to play these games. Regardless, I'm hoping that maybe this video can remind people about this oddity. Perhaps you'll know something I don't, which really wouldn't surprise me. I just want to put a nearly 16-year-old mystery to bed. As at the end of the day, we just really don't know for sure. Or maybe this video will sit in the void and I'm just a disembodied voice ranting to myself about pixels and lines of code. Either way, I have no idea what I'm doing.